In a world where celebrity stories were all we're hearing about, one man decided to create a space where all voices could be heard. Rising to the occasion, he decided to create a podcast. And that man was me. Hi, I'm Michael Custer.
Wait. Try again.
Okay, okay. That man was Tyler Honey. But who did that man call and say, hey, do you want to be the first guest on my podcast? It might crash and burn, but it'll be a hell of a lot of fun. Now, that man was me. Hi, I'm Michael Custer, highest rated guest on episodes 1 and 75. Now, I want to welcome you all to Life Story's 100th episode celebration. Now, welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Tyler Honick! Bow, 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 bow.
Well, how can you beat an intro like that? Thank you so much, my friend Michael. You always knock it out of the park, and I'm so happy you got to be a part of not only episode 1, but getting to jumpstart episode 100. Welcome everybody to this big celebration episode. We didn't think we would make it. Well, we just didn't know if we were going to make it. I truly didn't know it would come with a little podcast that could when I got started with this. But I'm so excited for you all to join me for some fun conversations, some really cool cameos, wink, wink, and to just hear some really cool things about how Life Story really got started. But you all don't want to hear me talk for the next hour or so. So I decided to have an incredible friend of mine. You know her, you love her. She's the only person that has ever co-hosted or even hosted an episode of Life Story before. So let me please welcome the lovely as always and fabulous Anna Faubert back to the show. Welcome back, Anna.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do episode 100 with you.
Yeah, thanks for joining the celebration. I felt like I almost should have bought like balloons or something to have behind me.
I know, I was gonna say, where's the champagne?
Oh, golly, that'll be for the 100 episode viewing party.
Amazing. You could make a whole game out of it.
Yep, I'll ship you all a bottle so you and Elise and the girls can have one in New York.
I love it. Let's go.
So one thing that people probably haven't realized or noticed is we didn't have the theme song play yet.
I know. And you said there was a surprise when
Yeah,
the
so
theme
the
song
first of many
started.
surprises. So Christopher Poole, the man behind our theme song, who I guilt tripped into making the theme song by buying him breakfast a few years ago. Him and I were chatting, and I said, "Hey, we're doing episode 100. It's going to be really cool." And I was like, "Can you make a full-blown song out of the Life Story theme song, that little 4-second ditty?" Because he's trying to work on building his musician skills. So he was like, "Yeah, let me do a little bit. Let me try something." Well, after 8 renditions, I'm happy to say we have the Life Story song that I can do the world premiere for tonight.
Yay! I'm so excited to hear it.
So, Anna, if
And
you're
also,
ready, and if everybody else is ready, let's start the party going.
I love it.
Tell us your story, your life story. Tell us, we wanna know. Tell us your journey and what you've learned. Tell us how you wanna grow. So many people with stories to share. Will we listen to learn and to care? Tell us your story, your life story.
There you go. Written, created, and produced by Christopher Poole himself.
Great job, Chris. I literally have not heard your name in so many years, but that's awesome and I love it. So, are you going to be using this song now for the rest of your podcast?
Yeah, so starting season 4, that is the brand new song of Life Story. Anna, I have to ask, did you notice something kind of different in the lyrics for that compared to the theme
Um,
song?
I actually didn't. Let me
Okay,
know.
I was curious if people would or not. So when he created it, he wrote, "Tell us your story" instead of "Tell me your story." And he was like, "What do you think about that? Are you okay with that?" And so I told him it took me back the first time I heard it, but it made me think. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to start episode 100 with this is when I first got started with this, people truly were just telling me their story. I didn't have a fan base. I didn't know if people would even want to listen to it. At episode 100 now, we are having people tell us your story. And so it's multiple people hearing it. Many people from all around have listened to my show. So I think that really showcases the growth from tell me to tell us.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it obviously speaks to you as a person, and everyone wants to talk with you and share. And yeah, that's awesome. I'm very excited because also to know that many people is insane when you think about it, because I think I can count on maybe two hands of like very close friends, and I just know that you have a whole list going. So it's really
I
cool.
do have that list. I will say it's helped that I had some people come back for a second episode or a third episode, or like our good friend Elise with 6 episodes. But even still, I think I counted and I've had over 60 individual people just come on the show.
That's awesome. And now, like you were saying, people are coming to you wanting to share their story.
Not wrong.
And it's really cool. So now you're just kind of widening the network, and it really comes back to just being such a empathetic and open and very caring person. So kudos to you, Tyler.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. It is interesting when like someone from the past comes back and they're like, "Hey, I've been listening," and it's a cool conversation starter. It's even weirder when someone that's like, "Hey, I'm the agent for so and so. We listen to your show. Can my person be on?" And I'm like, "Oh, someone actually is truly listening to this."
That's awesome. Actually, I was curious. Do you have any demographics on like where everyone's listening from? Is it mostly in the US?
Yeah, I actually, through my app, can see it mainly is the US. I have some people I know in Germany, so they show up on there. And then oddly enough, there's just some other countries and stuff where it'll be like 3% or 2%. So somebody's listening in some other countries out there. I wish I knew. Reach out.
Yeah, DM him.
I will answer back.
I love that. Well, I was going to say, as episode 100, we wanted to take it back a little bit to the humble beginnings of your show. And I just wanted to see, from your perspective, what you found the inspiration to start the show and kind of how you concepted it. Because obviously everyone knows you as someone who loves to just talk with people and get to know them so well. So I assume it's probably very similar, but wanted to start off with that.
Yeah, that's a great way to start it. So, 2 Saturdays ago was actually the 4-year anniversary of Life Story. I saw that come up on my Snapchat, so I was like, gosh, that's so weird to see like when it just had 1 episode on the Spotify docket. But how I kind of got started with it was having to go to back to the pandemic, which was a hard time for a lot of people. And I remember really just missing a lot of my friends. We were all over the place. I mean, things were just happening in the world at that point. And I started listening to a lot of podcasts, just driving around needing something that was different than music. And I started listening to a lot of like celebrities that I knew. And I was like, oh, I really like Haley Steinfeld. I want to hear what podcast she's on and about her life. And I kept listening to so many different celebrities. And I'm like, gosh, like this is cool. I know a lot of really cool people in my life, though. And I'm like, this could be a really cool way to kind of scratch that itch of, I miss talking to my friends. So, like, let's talk about this in a podcast. And so I literally Googled, like, podcasting on a budget and found what was at the time the Anchor app and is now Spotify for podcasters. Shout out to them. They've been great partners through these last 4 years. But I found that I could use that service. I used random items around my home, like my great-grandfather's old radio mic as the photo that sits with our main image for Life Story. So that's always really neat to get to kind of have that, and was building that. And then I was coming up with, what did I want to do? What did I want to talk about? What podcasts do I like? And I was like, let's talk about like the life stories of people. Let's see from like young childhood to where they are now. And I know for some of us, like, we're just at that point, we're in our mid-20s. So like not a lot of life had happened yet, but a lot of growth still had, a lot of really cool things to share. And as I started interviewing people that were even older than us, it's like, wow, how you fit all of this stuff into an hour-long episode or so. So I was thinking, what encompasses that title? And I kept going back and forth. Well, a popular comic book, I'm sure that shocks everybody that that's something that I came to, was called Spider-Man Life Story. It was a 6-issue series by Chip Zdarsky, and it was supposed to be as if Peter Parker really did age in real life. So each issue was 10 years. And so it goes from basically when he started being Spider-Man to basically when he passes away. And I was like, life story. That's a really cool like title. And so I was like, I think I'm going to use that. So thanks Spider-Man Life Story of the comic series for coming up with Life Story of the title of my podcast.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy what you think back to during the pandemic and what came out of it. Obviously, it was a horrible time for many reasons, but there has been a few silver linings, and I really love that this came out of it. And it's insane to think that it has now been 4 years since you started. Do you feel like, when you started, did you even think that it could be like turning to 100 episodes or 4 years down the road?
I just wanted to get episode to episode. I'm like, because some of our friends, and God bless them, they were like, Tyler, this is cool. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be out on social media. And so, I mean, that truly was some of the first battles on hoops I had to go through, is which of my friends would be interested in being a part of it. And even me kind of thinking and learning and being like, all right, we should edit this part out, or, oh, this person doesn't want their last name attached to it. Okay. And so thinking about that and honoring like where people wanted to be at and be met at. So that was really cool with it. Building the theme song was really neat. Like I said, Chris Poole and I were getting breakfast one day and I'm like, hey, I have this little ditty that's in my head. I'm not a great singer, but you are a fantastic one. Will you do my ditty? And he's like, okay, like sing it for me and stuff, and then I'll try to do it. And so we sat in his car for maybe about 20 minutes. He played a couple of versions and I'm like, yep, that's it. And then doing that first episode with Michael, I was like, truly how he said in the intro, this could crash and burn, or this could be something really cool. And it just was fun, like having that. And so then when you put it all together of the theme song, the episode, and I had my first couple people, I actually didn't put it out there for anybody to know I was doing it. I didn't put any advertisements out until I had 5 episodes, because I'm like, if they listen to one and it's garbage, I'm done. No one's going to listen to it except maybe my really, really close friends or my parents. So I sent it out to like 4 or 5 people, and they were like, Tyler, this is so cool. I feel like I'm in the conversation. Like, this is so neat. And I'm like, cool, we're cooking now. And it was so cool to have something that had been living in my head for about 2 months be real and have other people giving me their feedback about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And because I was also on the show with
yeah, you were episode 6.
Yeah, very early on. I was so impressed the fact that you sent through this whole document and you're like, here's all the questions. Like, it really makes you think about every single thing of your life, which is really cool, because I don't think sitting down, even with my parents, that I ever do that. So it's fun to then look back on the episodes and remember, everything.
Yeah, some people have said it's like a little capsule of where they were at in their life at that point. And yeah, it's just asking questions that people, like you said, would never get brought up in usual conversation.
Yeah.
I have to know, what did you think when I said, hey, Anna, I want you to be on my podcast, where you're like, what is he talking about?
It's funny because I never really thought about being on a podcast. It kind of scared me, I'm sure, as most, maybe for some people as well. But I started to think about it and I got really excited. I was like, oh, this is really cool, because hopefully maybe one day, if down the road when I have kids, they can kind of listen to it and like get a quick synopsis of my life. And just obviously to see the friendship that I have with you, and like just kind of like the fun banter back and forth. And so, yeah, originally I was like, oh my gosh, no one would ever want to hear my voice or my story. And now I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Like, Tyler is like letting me be a host now. So the trajectory has completely changed, and it's been really fun. And I'm sure, like, for anyone out there that is curious and wanting to have an episode, dedicated to them, it's not that scary, I promise.
No, it's
Tyler's
not.
a great host.
Like you said, you've been on 4 times, so I mean, it can't be that scary, or you wouldn't have come back.
Exactly, because I'm definitely a scaredy cat when it comes to certain things, and yeah, this is like such a breeze, and it's so fun. I had no idea, like, just talking about random stuff. I mean, obviously random to probably some other people, but it's like your own life. Like, it's actually really cool, and you think about it and you're like, I have lived so many experiences, and you take from that a lot of lessons. It's like a nice little memory, and like, you learn a lot about yourself and others. I love listening to other people. I think you said it earlier. It's like you almost reconnect with people that you used to know.
Yeah.
And I know you have a lot of people now on from our high school days, and what, I think it's 2025 now. We graduated in 2014.
Yeah, so 11 years.
So 11 years that, I personally have not connected with any of them, but like I was just listening to an episode, yesterday, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Like to catch up with someone in a weird way. Like I'm not talking to them, but I'm hearing about them.
Yeah.
So.
And it's been funny because I've heard people have listened to an episode and then they actually reach back out to that person and they're like, hey, can we reconnect? And they actually have reconnected because of that. So it's funny how this little podcast that could really has reached out and branched new relationships or rekindled old relationships.
Yeah, and I love the whole idea of it, and it's just like a nice new way to form friendships because we've talked about this so many times. It's hard when you're an adult.
Yeah.
You like have to find commonalities, and so this is like a nice way to.
Yeah, my head is always tipped off to you, Anna, because like especially living in New York, the amount of friends that you have, and every time I come to visit, there's always somebody new, and I'm like, goodness, Anna, you make one of the biggest cities in the world feel so small.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love. You know what my saying is, the more the merrier, and I'm sure that's a common saying, but it really holds true. It's like you have to find your community, and when you do, you're like, okay, now come more, like enjoy it. And so it's really fun. Like even this weekend, our local bar, which I've taken you to.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a nice like get together. Haven't seen some friends in a while, and we invited a new person that just moved to the city, but it's like a connection of someone. And so it's like, okay, well, because I know you and you like, our friendship, I'm sure you'd like all these other people because we're friends with these other people. So it's just kind of nice to grow the group and whatnot. So
yeah, and that's how you get your roots down, is when you introduce them to all the other friends.
Exactly. And like, I mean, honestly, Tyler, I am still so amazed by how many friends you keep in contact with. And like, I mean, I'm wondering though, actually, is that how you like felt comfortable to do this? Like to get your guests? Because I feel like if I were doing this, I'd be like, okay, I think I know like 10 people and I don't know where else I would get the guests from.
Yeah. So truly, it is. I started out with like just a lot of my really close friends, you, Elizabeth, Max Robnet, Michael, and some people were like, I really want to be on it, but I only want to be on when we can be in person. So like our good friend Nate Madej, I had to wait till I went out and visited him in Denver to actually record our episode live. So some people also just know I'm going to be better doing it live than I am virtual. So that was something interesting to see and grow. And then also just people from high school that I was close with, but not super close. Like some of them it is just, hey, we like a lot of each other's stuff on Instagram. Would you like to be on my show? And funny enough, how many people have been like, yeah, I've actually heard about your show and stuff. It's cool that you're reaching out. I'm like, oh, that's neat that you've already heard about me. And then just kind of like meeting people also in my current life. So being in Ames, I've reached out to a lot of people I know here. So some of them I've only known a couple of months, but I'm like, hey, do you want to be on the show? And so it's cool that now I can kind of intermix it to be like people I've recently met, people that I've known since high school. And so that's fun when people listen to the episodes. It's not just, here's 20 episodes of my friends from high school or 20 episodes of Iowa State people. It's, there's a Bettendorf person, there's an Iowa State person, there's somebody I worked with at Texas Tech. So that's always fun for me to have those kind of like breaks in each of the episode to see who's going to come back, where are they from.
Yeah, and I feel like you have so many like life moments yourself.
Yeah.
You kind of moved, from different colleges, your master's program, your undergrad, your jobs. It's really cool to, how to kind of combine everything into one.
Yeah. And I mean, even a lot of your friends from New York who have come on, and I've only met them a few times, but I'm like, yeah, we shared the connection of Anna, but come on in. Let's watch the show and let's talk about it.
The more the merrier.
Exactly.
I love that. You've done what? 100 episodes, which is so crazy still to me. But do you have a favorite memory, looking back on the 4 years?
Yeah, I thought about this question a lot, and I love that you asked it. One, and this bleeds into like one of my memorable guests, but I have a few other memorable guests too. But my good friend Mary Dayheim, that was my author friend who put me in her books. I really loved having her on, and that was such a special episode. So she was 88 when I had her on. We had been pen pals for 10 years, which was crazy, but that was the first time I had ever actually heard her voice, or that her and I had actually had a real in-person, real-time conversation. And so that was just so fun. And then, sadly, 6 months later, she passed away. But just how sweet that was to have that episode to go back to. I know that she had shared it with a few people, and so that meant a lot when like I was going through that healing process of like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I've lost a pseudo family member, a pseudo grandparent, but like to go back and be like, wow, we had not only all of these emails I can go back to, but all of this whole episode I can listen to. So I always remember that one, and that one always really touches my heart to have had that opportunity.
That's awesome. Yeah, and honestly, for her, I'm sure it was a great opportunity to talk to someone that she's been interacting with for so many years.
Yeah.
To then make that in person connection.
Yeah. And I don't truly know if she knew exactly what a podcast was. She asked a lot of questions about it, but she just thought it was a really cool experience to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a fun conversation when it comes down to it.
Yeah. And so she gets to live in infamy on my podcast, and I get to live as a character in her book series forever.
Oh, fun. Yes, you should definitely share the titles and stuff.
Yeah, The Bed and Breakfast Murder Mysteries by my friend Mary Dayheim. The books I am in are Gone with the Wind, and then it is Here Comes the Bribe. She does a lot of like fun sayings and kind of changes them up a little bit.
I love it. Oh, that's very special though.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you got that time. And yeah, it's crazy when even just like pen pals, you come to know someone so well.
Exactly. And then another one that also comes to my mind too is my good friend Caitlin. She recently had her baby a year ago, and she came on to talk about her infertility journey and how all the stuff she had to put in to actually have her kid and give birth. And the reason that one is so memorable is I appreciated how open she was and honest about it. And that's the only episode I've ever cried on. And I've had really emotional episodes, but that one, I think is because we did it in person. I had been with her, like, she lived really close to me through all that time. So, like, being a part of it, her daughter is my little niece. She means so much to me. And so, like, to hear all of that and to have lived it with her, but not known everything she had been going through, it just was really cathartic and very real.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. And I'm so excited that she now has her daughters.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, to be open and honest on a podcast, it is almost like a therapy in a way,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking to a close friend. And infertility is something that so many women suffer from. And it's just nice when more people are talking about it and, you know, again, forming the connections and, you know, finding support.
Exactly. Yeah. And just that I remind so many people when they come on and they'll say something and I'm like, you do realize this is not just really you and I. I know in the moment it seems like it's just you and I having a conversation, but like so many people are going to hear this. And so a lot of times I will ask, like, are you okay with having this on? Like, are you sure you want this episode to be live? And so it's really heartwarming to have people be like, yes, like I want this shared, or we have that conversation and it's like, okay, maybe I don't want this part shared, but like I want this part shared. So like, even though I'm really the conduit of their life story, they're giving me the power to share it and stuff, but I still want them to always know you have the reins to control what part of your narrative is actually shared.
Right. Which is very special too. And that makes people feel so comfortable, which you do all the time, Tyler. So
Thank you.
we thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. And like I've always said, this show would be nothing. We never would have gotten to 100 episodes without all the people willing to come on and showcase their life stories.
Yeah. And it's so fun to hear all the unique experiences. I mean, like we've been talking about, you know, everyone has some connection, I'm sure, to everyone, but then just like living life is so unique and it's fun to hear, you know, how people live.
Yeah. Or like our mutual friend Rimu, I had never heard a lot of when she lived in India. And so when she came on my show, I learned so much about her. And at that point, we had been friends for almost like, oh goodness, like 10 or 11 years. And I was like, wow, to learn all these things about you. And I've known you for so long. It was such an interesting moment. And hers was my 4th episode. And so after that, I was like, holy crap, like I'm cooking with fire here. Like this is a really cool opportunity. I didn't realize how cool of an opportunity it really was.
Yeah, almost, I would be like, do I actually know you as a friend? All these things that you're telling me. I know, I listened to that, or her episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I had no
Yeah.
idea. But like the things that they share sometimes is not something you just ask randomly on the
Exactly.
street.
Or I know, like, even your episode when you talked about you and Lauren and when you were brought to America and adopted, and I was like, I've never heard this story before, and it's like, I never knew when to ask, and this was the perfect opportunity, and it was just so interesting, and I felt like, wow, I am getting to know my friend on such a deeper level now.
Totally. Yeah, that's our story is so special and it's something that like I don't just go around sharing it all the
Yeah.
time. So and it's like it's got to be in the right moment. So that's the thing that I
Truly.
love about this is like it is the right moment. When people are comfortable, they'll definitely share and yeah, 100 episodes later, it's crazy to think and now I'm thinking like what's the possibility of like 200, 300?
Oh, golly. I think it's real, but I think there's going to be a lot of me searching out, asking people, seeing what's going to happen. Yeah, I didn't know if we'd ever make it to 100, and I am hopeful for 200. I think the theme of this episode is going to end up being episode by episode, day by day. We're just going to see how much we can grow this. I'm eventually going to have to stop calling the show the little podcast that could, because it actually is the little podcast that did.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, I'm very excited to see who you bring on for season 4. Because I
Yeah.
know I think you have some updates.
Yeah, I have a few people from high school that have reached out that I'm excited. The big announcement will be in a few episodes. I'm going to be having my mom come on. So she will be. I've had my aunt, but I talked to my aunt about her company that she was running. So this one will actually be an episode where I discuss my mom's life. And she's gone through so many things throughout her time. And so it'll be interesting kind of doing that. I was always a little hesitant to start off having family because friendships to family ships are very different. And so I'm like, I want to do friends first and then see like how we bleed into family.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's going to be memorable for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm very excited to listen to it.
Speaking about memorable guests though, so part of the celebration I got to have was I reached out to a few podcasters that I am really big fans of. And I got 2 of them to message me back. One of them being my favorite podcaster. His name is Michael Rosenbaum. He is the host of Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and he also played Lex Luthor on Smallville, so that's where a lot of people know him from. But I wanted to take a short little break and switch it over to Michael real quick to say his little congratulations to this wonderful podcast.
Tyler, it's Michael Rosenbaum. I apologize for my hair, but that's just the way it is. Holy crap, Tyler, you're celebrating your 100th episode of your podcast? Bravo, my friend. That is fantastic. Super proud of you. It's very difficult to achieve what you achieved. So kudos to you. And you interview your friends and mentors about what made them into the people they are today. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I guess similar in a way to my podcast where I like to find out what makes people tick and all that. So it's good you're doing your own thing, and I love that my podcast was an inspiration to you. That's that's a highlight, my friend. But hey, I'm thinking about you. Congratulations on celebrating 100 episodes of your podcast. It's brilliant, and I'm pumped for you. Here's to 100 more. Here's to 100 more. All right, all my love, Tyler. Rock on, buddy. Kick some ass.
Well, dang, I don't think I ever expected Michael Rosenbaum to give me such a really nice 100-episode congratulations, but thank you so much to him. I really do look up to his podcast so much. It's a great show.
That's really cool. And cheers. Yes, here. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
I was saying, honestly, I hope that has some alcohol in it. 'Cause we don't have
Mine doesn't. Maybe his did, though.
Yes, I love that. Oh, that's exciting because yeah, when you look up to someone like that and then they can, really connect with you, it's like it's a nice little. It warms your heart.
Yeah, I agree.
That's so cool. And like, it sounds like his podcast has been going on for bunch of years.
Yeah, he hit over 100 episodes a long while ago.
Do you feel like you learned something, to be a podcast host yourself from his podcast?
I think so a little bit. With his show, like he kind of mentioned, he likes to know how people tick. So his is a lot more about like celebrities and how they deal with like mental health or struggles they have. And I like it because it showcases that celebrities are real people and they're really vulnerable, open. And a lot of them are friends that he's had from other shows too. And so they just feel open and honest to talk with him and feel comfortable. And that's the number one thing he always talks about in his show is he wants people to feel comfortable. Otherwise, why are you coming on the show?
Totally. Yeah, that's great. Oh, I love that. And speaking of like learnings and whatnot, what have you felt like as a host now, talking to so many people, that you've learned from other people's experiences or even just like doing this podcast?
Oh gosh. I definitely have learned video editing. That was something I did not know was going to be a strength of mine. But that's been really cool and something that's actually played into my current job. We needed some tour videos to be narrated. And so my boss was like, hey, I know this isn't necessarily a part of your job, but you do your podcast. Would you want to narrate these tour videos for us? And so I'm like, oh yeah. So it was cool to like take what I do in this and take it to my job that is something completely different than running a podcast.
Yeah. Well, you're great at narrating for sure.
Thank you.
Obviously. So that's awesome. And you get paid to do it.
Exactly. And that's actually, this show has made me want to look into seeing if I could do like audiobook narration or voiceover work. It's not an easy thing to get into, especially in Ames, Iowa, but you never know.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Anything else that you've learned during your time?
Yeah, I would say, well, like we've mentioned, reconnecting with people and then keeping them in your life. So I really have tried to do a good job about keeping my friends from high school, from college, from all the places I've lived. It's just really neat growing with them, seeing them come back to the show, and kind of like how I've talked to friends of mine here when they listen to an episode, it's, hey Tyler, like, how is Nate doing? And I'm like, how do you know Nate? And they're like, oh, the podcast, I listened to his episode. I'm like, oh gosh, like I kind of forget people listen to this and that they now know the people in my lives and end up becoming kind of pseudo celebrities. So it is really neat. And that's something I just have had to train my mind is even people on campus know me from either my podcast or other podcasts I've been on, and just growing with the people, seeing their growth, and then also just seeing how the show really grows our friendship and our relationship.
Right. You're a local celebrity.
I try.
You were saying you're on other podcasts, so it sounds like everyone wants to hear from you.
A little bit. And that's actually been an incredible learning moment to be on. So some of the ones I've been on, so Spotlight with Elijah Moore, he is a student that is graduating pretty soon, and he is killing the game. He's had a lot of Iowa State celebrities, professors, some of our deans. Iowa State's president was even on his show, which is really cool. She does not go on everything. So he's now leading a podcasting club on campus that I've come and been a guest for. So that was really cool. Him and I did my first ever two-parter. So we did part one on his show, and then we told people to do part two on my show. So we shared some of our fans, some of our listeners, and it was cool to see how he does his show because he records it very differently than how I record. That was just such a neat learning thing. Iowa State also does Humans of Iowa State, which is kind of like People of New York, if you've ever heard of that one.
I love that series.
Yeah, so they're doing it with Iowa State faculty, staff, students, and I was asked to be on that. And that was a super fun time, and I got to have the host of that, Chris, get to come on. So it's neat to like intertwine all of us into our different shows. Our good friend Barry, she is doing Reads and Rants, and I got to be on that show, and they are killing the game. Her and Emily both have been on the show, are friends of Life Story. Barry's a co-host on the Super Film Club, so my God, she's killing it. And I always just feel so honored whenever they want me to come on the show. And I'm always like, man, I do not have to sweat at all because I know all the work they have to put into doing it. Coming on is so easy to just be like, okay, you want me to talk? Okay, we're done. Sweet, I get to go home. Let me know when the episode's live.
I love it. Yeah, honestly, that's how I feel right now. I'm like, okay, Tyler did all the work. He did the outline. He got all the cameos. It's great. But,
yeah, but I mean, hey, the show couldn't happen without you, Anna.
Oh, well, thank you. And you too. Well, you mentioned Super Film Club. So I know a few people listen to it. I know it's on the same channel. But how did that come to fruition? Because were you like, oh, you like Marvel and all, like, you like these films. Let's come together and just talk about it. Like, how did that
Yeah.
come to be?
So actually, it didn't come from me. It did and it didn't. So I had a lot of friends that reached out to me and they were like, hey, do I need to watch this show on Disney Plus? Or I'm kind of going back and forth about seeing this Marvel movie. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, like I'd give them my feedback. And they were like, you should have a podcast about that. I would totally listen to it. And I'm like, okay. And so I mulled around a little about it. And it was kind of when I was doing a transition with Life Story, the show, which we can talk about in a little bit. But I was like, I wasn't getting burnt out by Life Story, but I definitely was having a hard time finding some new guests. And so I was like, this superhero podcast sounds really cool. And I'm like, but I can't do it on my own. I will not do a show where I am just talking to nobody. So I thought about it, and I have two people that I talk about shows with all the time. My good friend Kyle Wilson, who was my boss during my internship at Wichita State. He loves movies in general. He sees a movie every single day in the theaters. God bless that man. He is an AMC
God.
Plus member.
I was just going to ask, because that must be expensive.
Yes. He finds the way to ball on a budget with that, though. But I was like, he could be really cool because he doesn't know the comic book background, but he watches all the movies and we talk about it. And I'm like, I need somebody else, though, that knows the comic book stuff with me. And so my friend John Jaso, who I know you've gotten to meet before, he was my movie watching buddy at Texas Tech. And I was like, okay, him and I want to hook up with him. So I texted both of them individually and I was like, hey, would you all like to be on my podcast? And they were like, okay, that's cool. Like, I don't know this other guy. How are we going to connect? And so I was like, okay, John Jaso, Kyle Wilson, here you meet on this text message chain. We decided to do Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as our first movie. And kind of the rest is history. We tried it out. And again, this could either crash and burn or it could go somewhere. And they were like, that was so much fun. Can we do another episode? I'm like, yes, I really wanted to know what you all thought about it. We did a couple of episodes together. And then your roommate at the time, Barry, was like, hey, I like superhero stuff too. I want to be on Life Story. And she was, but she goes, how do I get on Life Story? And I'm like, or on Super Film Club. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know this was such a coveted podcast, but cool. And so I had asked the guys and they were like, yeah, have her on the next episode. So we did a top 5 Marvel movies and she came on. And Anna, I got to tell you, she was the missing link we needed. She just added just something to our group. And so I asked the guys, I'm like, hey, what did you think? And they're like, we loved her. She was fantastic. And so I asked Barry, I'm like, hey, would you want to be a full-time guest co-host with us? She goes, yeah, I totally would. So edited our theme song, added her name into it, but I surprised her and didn't tell her her name had been added the next episode she was in. So she's like, oh my God, I'm really a member of the team.
I love that. Well, she is like the #1 fan of Marvel.
Yes.
So she's awesome for...
She is our go-to person whenever it comes to a celebrity's name. Because we'll always be like, oh, that actor that plays Spider-Man. And she's like, Tom Holland. And I'm like, okay, thank God we have you here, Barry.
She also can quote movies really well. So
Yes, she can.
I appreciate it, especially Shrek. Not a superhero movie, but still.
Hey, Shrek he saves Princess Fiona. He fights the dragon. He beats Lord Farquaad.
Exactly. Yeah, Shrek forever.
Yes. Oh, but yeah, I mean, that was just so fun. And I think we've done 20 episodes now of the Super Film Club. People truly do listen to it. And it's neat to have people that only listen to Life Story, people that only listen to the Super Film Club, and then people that really truly do listen to both.
I love that. Yeah, and it's great because you also are catering to so many audiences.
Yes. Believe me, we constantly say, hey, Marvel, feel free to sponsor us. Kevin Feige, are you listening?
Literally, invite us to a premiere. Why not?
That would be amazing. I'd love to get some free merch or something.
Honestly, Marvel, if you're listening,
Yeah, I'm here.
I love it. That's awesome. And then, I mean, now you have 2 podcasts. So how do you do this? Because you are such a busy person. Where do you find the time?
A lot of planning. My calendar is my best friend. And it plays around everybody else's schedule. So sometimes people are like, why was there maybe 2 or 3 weeks between an episode? And it's everyone has real lives. And so I have to go along with what's going on in everybody else's life. And sometimes life is real. Crap happens. So sometimes with the best of intentions, someone's like, I'm ready to be on. And the day before, they're like, Tyler, something horrible has happened. I really can't be on tomorrow. And then we pivot, but I can't just magically find somebody to take over the spot for that week. So it's being okay with pivoting and trying something new, and just knowing you don't have to get something done every single week. And sometimes it's a good chance to have somebody come back on the show that hasn't been on in a little bit because they know the format. We don't necessarily have to do their life story. It's, hey, Elise has been a great help to me with this. Like, hey, Elise, here's the subject. You want to come on? Yeah, let's talk about this. So that's been a great help at times, to just have people that know the show, are willing to come on, not ask questions, and be like, let's just do it.
Totally. And are you on a certain season or for Super Film Club? Because
Super Film Club, we have not really done seasons because things just don't change enough. With Life Story, though, we truly have actually done multiple seasons. It's like season 1 ended after episode 25 that you hosted for me. Season 2 ended because my job was starting to get really busy, and so I knew I was going to have a month break. So I was like, that's a great time to do that. And I was just starting to have some issues in season 2 of, like I mentioned, having people's agents reach out to me. On paper, that sounds so cool. In actuality, it can be very hard because not knowing these people and not having them necessarily be my friends, I have to give up some of the power that I shouldn't necessarily need to give up. But it'll be, I'm not going to name any names, but like, it might be someone wants to talk about a book that they wrote. And so I'll be like, yeah, you can totally talk about that. But sometimes they go rogue a little bit and they're like, so here's this part of my life story. If you want to hear more, find out about it in my book. And I'm like, well, no, this is not you selling your book. Like, we can talk about it, but like, this is not a commercial for your book. Like, this is not what we agreed upon. But it's really hard in the moment to be like, we're done. Because a lot of the times I've never talked to this person until they log on to my podcast. I've talked to their agent, and their agents can sometimes promise you things that don't happen. Like, one of the agents said they were going to put me on all their websites and that it was going to blow up my show. That is the lowest rated episode of Life Story, one of them at least, and I was not on any of their websites that they promised I would be on. So that really put a bad taste in my mouth, and I was really excited about it because you're like, wow, this is the first taste of like, people are hearing my show and want to be on it, but what am I giving up to do that? And I just wasn't feeling great about that.
Totally. So then for season 3, did you kind of switch gears?
Yeah, I retook the reins a little bit.
Okay.
That's actually why I started having people come back on the show. You were the only one at that point that had come back to do a guest, and it was to host. But for that one, I had my friend Bailey come on, and she talked about losing her first child. I had Elise come on to talk about multiple different subjects, what it means to be friend and how friends become family, and multiple other subjects. Michael came on to talk about moving to Colorado. So many different people, and I had people come on that had never been on before, but I was like, let's take a moment in the show and in this time and really talk about with somebody a moment that really affected their life. Because that was what a lot of my listeners were saying was, I loved hearing this person's life, but I wish they had talked a little bit more about this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk more about that. Yeah. And so that was fun to like reconnect, and it almost re-energized me a bit because it wasn't always another full life story. It's, hey, you've come on, you know what you're doing. Let's just talk about this one moment. And yes, sometimes they were really hard moments, and sometimes they were really funny moments. And so it's, you're living in those, and you're giving that person that platform to talk about it more and for people to remember them.
Totally. And now that they already know them from another episode, it's like, you're catching back up with them. It's almost like a little like friend date again.
Exactly. And if they liked that episode and they were completely new to the show, that's like, oh, let me go back and re-listen to that episode.
Totally. Well, that's really cool. And I know that, covering a whole life, your life or whoever's life, is a lot of info. So yeah, it's always nice to go back and be like, actually, like this specific moment had a lot in it.
Yeah.
You really have to, dig more under the surface.
And it's fun too, because in season 3, and I'm hoping to do more of this in season 4, is we did the Speed Project one. That wouldn't have necessarily in the first season been an episode I probably would have done, but they all got to know you. It was a really pivotal moment for all of you to do that, and it just was something fun to talk about.
Yeah, and it's something that's unexpected, which is insane. I feel like most people don't have those types of experiences, so it's nice to share and see if anyone else is interested in doing that.
Or like I talked to my aunt and she was like, hey, I want to get into the world of YouTubing and podcasting for my floral company. I don't know where to start. So I had her come on my show and I'm like, use this basically as free advertisement for you. I get another episode out of it. My listeners get to hear about your company, but then you also can use this and grow from it. So it was cool to share what I've learned with somebody else and see where they go with that.
Right, totally. Do you get a lot of feedback like that helps you kind of, shape your podcast from your fans?
A little bit here and there. I do always love to hear the comments people say for good and for bad, and there have been some bad comments. But that's life. Anything you put out in the world, you have to be okay with getting good comments and bad comments. But I think it's just been fun going back to the other podcasters, creating this podcast family, this like life story tree of all these people, and where they can see my episodes, where they can see these other people's episodes, and just know that I have this community now of other people that I know that I can rely on and lean on, and they can lean on me.
I love that. Yeah, and again, you're making the connections and having those relationships, even if you don't even meet them in person,
Yeah.
Great.
Somebody, though, that I get a lot of feedback from is actually my friend Helen. And Helen, I found out recently, is my #1 listener. She likes to listen, I guess, while she crochets. And so I asked her, I'm like, hey, Helen, I'm doing this big celebration episode. We're talking about the life story of Life Story. Would you want to come on? And she actually told me she would come on.
So exciting.
So if you're okay with it, I'm going to have her actually surprise everybody, jump on, and you're going to get to meet Life Story's #1 fan.
I would love to be a #1 fan of anyone, so this is awesome. I'm very jealous that she holds that spot.
Cool. Well, let's get Helen added on. She's one of my Ames moms and someone I've known for a lot of years. So welcome to the show, Helen Mackey.
Thank you, and congratulations on your
Thank you.
100th episode.
It's crazy to think, but you've listened to every single episode of Life Story. So tell me, why do you enjoy listening to it? Tell me about it.
I mean, I like to stitch and crochet, and so I like yours. I think I'm a people person just like you, and I don't know, I just think it's fun listening to everybody's different stories and hearing. I like how you cover their whole life from, little kid to what they're doing now, and I don't think I've known anybody that you've interviewed. I don't think.
Probably not, no.
But I still like love to hear about people.
Yeah.
I love
Well, that's great because people are definitely what I have on in this show.
that. That's awesome. And can you remind everyone how you guys met?
Yeah. Helen, do you want to share?
I worked at an elementary school here in Ames, and I think, were we eating lunch at the same time, Tyler?
We were.
And you...
I was an America Reads tutor.
Yeah, and were you maybe talking about comic books?
Yeah. And your son works with comics.
Yeah, and my son has done a couple comics. He's an artist, and I guess that's probably what got it started, talking comics.
Yeah. And then we ended up realizing that you were good friends with Kathy. I worked with Kathy a lot in the different classrooms. We started doing dinners, brought Teresa into it, and it's been just a really fun time to have our little elementary school mom dinners.
Yes, and we all appreciate that you set them up for us, or you're the really good one about keeping them pretty regular.
Yeah, about like every month and a half or so, give or take.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love to hear it. And honestly, this is so Tyler.
Yes.
He has so many connections. It's awesome. And I love that you really take time to get to know each person, which obviously is why you did Life Story. And obviously, Helen, you have probably learned so much across the 100 episodes. What has been one thing, or maybe a couple things that you've learned or from others, or what, what like that?
I mean, I don't know if I have like a specific thing or things that I've learned, but I mean, it's a good reminder when you listen to all these different people that everybody really does have their own life story, and that is great. I mean, that everybody, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just really fun to hear the differences in how people have lived their lives and the different choices they've made and where they've ended up, and I just love how Tyler, yeah, like you said, Anna, how Tyler keeps up with all these people. I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
that you keep up with. So yeah, I just like just learning about just different things. I do listen to the superhero.
Oh yeah, the Super Film Club.
Yeah, I listen to those too, and I'm kind of like when I watch a movie, I kind of pretty much forget about it the next day. So the Super Film Club I listen to, and I think, well, even if I see that movie, I'm not gonna remember too much about it. So, but I enjoy that one too. Just hearing all your different opinions about the different movies and shows.
Oh yeah, and Barry, who's on that show, was one of Anna's roommates for a long time.
Oh, that's right. Didn't she move somewhere? Like
He did, yeah.
He did, which we are very sad.
Oh.
But he is here every once in a while, so it's really nice to catch up with her.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting, Helen, when you and I meet up or we're at dinner with our friends, and it's like, that was so interesting to hear about Nate's life story. And I'm like, how do you know about Nate? And I'm like, oh yeah, because you listen to the podcast. It's like two people that I don't associate in my brain together, but it's like, oh shoot, you do know about this person now.
Yeah. Well, one of your most recent ones, it was a guy who grew up
David.
Who?
David?
Yeah, did he grow up on a farm?
He did.
That brought back, because I grew up on a farm, and we had chickens also, so that was, things like that, when you hear things, oh yeah, I did that, or...
I actually honestly thought of you with that when we were recording that, because he was like, do you think any of your listeners are going to care about this? And I go, actually, no. I have a few of them that live on a farm. And I'm like, Helen most likely will vibe with that one.
Yeah, I never had a snake getting an egg out from under a chicken, but I did not like having to go get the eggs, because I was always afraid they would peck me, and it always stinks in a chicken house. And...
Oh, sure.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, now if you ever meet any of Tyler's friends, it's like you already know everything about them, so you're just fast friends.
Yeah.
I remember you saying, Helen, when you listened to the Speed Project one, you're like, man, I now know why you really enjoy going to New York. You have just such good friends up there.
Yeah, that was because you were one of them, right, Anna?
I was, yeah.
That just sounded like so much fun.
It was a blast, honestly. Tyler will eventually learn about the marathon because he's doing one himself in October. But yeah, maybe that's his next little foray to try out a relay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'd say, Helen, are you going to join the next Speed Project with all of them because it was so much fun?
No.
We take photos or something. We always need a photographer.
Oh, well, that I could do. Running, no, but...
It's very
That's
fair.
okay. No,
Not for everybody.
Yeah, not for everyone.
Yeah.
I actually did have a question for you, Helen, though.
Uh-huh.
I listen to a ton of podcasts, and it never occurs to me, until Spotify tells me, which is my, preferred, listening platform, that I'm, the top listener. Did you even know that you were the top listener for Life Story? Or did that ever occur to you?
Well, no, because Tyler told me. I think you've told me a few times, Tyler, that
I think so. When I started noticing you were kind of getting up there.
Yeah, although I panicked this weekend. I looked and I saw 2 shows I hadn't heard, so I'm like, I better get them listened to. So I did.
Oh, good.
Love it.
Honestly, I think you own that top fan spot pretty well, Helen.
I'm sure but yours is the only one, I'm sure, because I listened to maybe 3 others, but not as regularly. Well, one of them, she has hundreds of its ologies.
Oh, yes. I know that show.
Yeah, she has so many episodes, but so yeah, you're the only one that I'm that full that honor of having listened to all of them.
Well, I'm honored with that.
Is
So,
there-
Helen, are there any other final thoughts that you have or anything extra you want to say?
I don't think so. Just keep on recording, and yeah, maybe sometime your Ames moms, maybe we can all join you on a.
That would be fun.
I would love to hear that episode. I heard so many good things about you guys.
Oh, well, thanks.
Well, and Helen, be excited because there's a lot of fun things with this episode that you'll get to see when it comes live. And you'll
Yeah.
get to be a part of the celebrations. That's even better.
Yeah, when is this being released or?
TBD. We are working on that deadline. I have a few things I'm going to be working on with this episode the next couple of days, but I'm hoping to have this live pretty quick.
Nice. Oh, and I appreciate that you interviewed Tyler too.
Oh, I love holding that one key part in his show, being the only other host,
It's a big reason that she's here tonight.
Yeah.
which I'm very grateful for you to have me back. So.
Oh, anytime. Well, Helen, thank you so much for coming on for this short segment. But I was like, if we're doing a 100-episode celebration, we got to have my #1 listener on.
Well, thanks for having me. And
Of
nice
course.
to meet you, Anna.
Nice to meet you, Helen.
Yeah. Well, have fun recording the rest of the show, and I look forward to listening.
Oh, yeah. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Helen's a joy. Anytime I get to talk with Helen, I'm so happy you finally got to meet her.
I'm so happy to get to have met her, and also she's so sweet. So when I'm in Iowa again, which hopefully will be soon, I request a margarita.
A basement margarita will happen. Hopefully, it doesn't have to happen because of a tornado.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But you never know. Honestly, it's the Midwest. I kind of miss the whole tornado sirens going off, and you're like running to the basement.
That is fair. That is fair. Gets the blood pumping a little bit.
It does. It does. But I'm so glad that she's your #1 listener, and I'm very jealous that she just gets to crochet and knit and listen to podcasts.
I know, the retirement life. I mean, we're going to be 30 soon. I think we're ready for retirement. I got a lot of fun things I want to do with my life.
Exactly. I just got back from a vacation. I really enjoyed it, honestly.
Yeah.
I could live this life.
Yeah. You can't beat a good vacation.
Truly, truly.
So, Anna, what are some of your thoughts when you think of Life Story and the first episode you were on, having been on now for your 4th time? Like, what does Life Story really mean to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first time, being open and honest with like all of like my own life, it was really cool. Like I said before, it's kind of like you really dig deep into like all the things that you've done, and it's nice to look back and kind of see how far you've come. I mean, Life Story is kind of one of those podcasts that's just like a feel-good moment. You're like, oh, this is like nice to hear like the good moments of humans. Like, news is never great, you wake up every day and you're like, oh, okay, I get to, at least for me, go to work, come back, make dinner, maybe go for a run, and then go to bed. It feels like, nice to hear the little nuggets of positivity, which is something that you bring out in people all the time. So that's been really nice, and it's a little escape, honestly, for me. So it's been really fun, and obviously always honored to be back on this podcast. And yeah, the last one that we did, the speed project, like I was still on that high from the relay. You know, the runner's high is true and it is so real. Especially after a not even two, like 2.5 day adventure like that. So it's always nice to just reflect also on that with some of my really, really good friends. So yeah, Life Story has been a really nice way to share, you know, moments that you don't really get to share any other time.
Yeah. And I tell you, that speed project episode, I have not laughed in an episode that much in a long time. Just the riffing we all were doing, that Home Depot toilet. I see things now. I feel like my algorithm on my Instagram and my Snapchat and Facebook are all like, oh, we understand you like Home Depot toilets. Here's another video for you.
I swear though, so I was in Europe and I was like, dang, I really wish I would have had the Home Depot toilet because it would have been so much easier to instead of having to go like try to find a restaurant or something. But it's fine. I don't think they would have allowed me back into the country if I did that.
They probably would have given you some odd thoughts, yeah.
That's true. But honestly, when do they not? We're just Americans over in Europe.
You know, yep, in this political climate and everything, I'm sure they're like, okay, you Americans, head back home.
Yeah. But it was, yeah. Anyway, I digress. But
Hey, we love a good tangent on this show.
that's so true. Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, let me know when you want me back on because I have a lot of ideas.
Hey, like we said, you're the second most featured on my show, so if you want to get to that #1 spot, we got to get some work in.
I know. I'll send you some thoughts soon.
Okay, please do. I also think it's funny that the person that has the #1 spot is your roommate. So I was honestly surprised if she didn't like break your room door down and it's like, hey, just had to make a guest appearance for episode 100. Don't forget about me.
So true. I know. It's a little competition now.
I know. Shoot.
It's fine. Or we can come on together because
Ooh.
Elise and I have been roommates for a long time.
You know, that would be a fun episode to do is like living with somebody new or living with someone that's not a family member.
All right, write it down. Another
I
idea.
like it. Maybe that can be a whole segment and stuff. It's like the Roommate Chronicles.
Yes, because I'm sure you've got so many listeners that have had terrible roommate situations. Like, thank
Yeah.
God my like roommate situation has always been pretty good. But
You have lucked out.
I will say though, the bad stories are really fun to share.
Oh, 100%. But that could be fun, like to have Michael and Nate and Sarah on with these. They've been roommates at their house in Denver for a bit. I like this.
And you know what? I do think it's like geographical, specific
Ooh.
too. Because here in New York City, we have very small spaces.
That's true.
Denver, different story.
It always cracks me up, like when you see my apartment when we video chat and you're like, wow, Tyler, I wish I had all that space to myself.
I know. So honestly, I always tell myself, I have a day job, but maybe if I ever became famous, maybe podcast host could be something that I could do.
There you
Become
go.
famous and then afford the rich, very large apartments similar to yours.
Maybe. Hey, when I take over for Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show, I'll definitely have you on.
I would die. I love that show. So yes.
Good. You've heard it here first, folks, everybody. Anna Faubert will be on The Tonight Show with Tyler Honig one day.
I love it. And talking about like other ideas and whatnot, would love to hear, what you have. I know you kind of prefaced your mom's coming on the show for the next season. What other surprises you have for us?
Yeah. So for all of you, if you haven't picked up on it yet, episode 100 is going to be the last episode of season 3. So we're bringing that to a close. Season 3 has been so fun. I've learned so many things about returning guests to my show and just so many new people. Something big is, again, my mom's going to be coming on. And then also we're going to be having some episodes that are just going to be about fun, interesting topics that maybe aren't necessarily about somebody's life story. Maybe they weren't a moment that made them, but things similar to the Speed Project. Something that Anna and I even talked about tonight that sounds really cool is I'm going to be doing my marathon in October, maybe doing some mini check-in episodes. I did some mini episodes for the Super Film Club. Why not do some mini life story episodes? And maybe they can even be some mini check-ins. And so I'm really excited to see how it grows. I'm excited to bring back friends from high school that I have not gone to see in a while that have wanted to be on the show. Continue to reach out to some, I don't want to say celebrity is the right word, but some pretty influential people that I know, and seeing how that can grow, seeing about monetizing Life Story. It's been something I've been going back and forth about. So I'm just really excited to see what season 4 can bring. I have ideas, I have things that I definitely don't need to do, and some things that I'm willing to grow with. So, I mean, tell us your story, your life story. I'm excited for the new theme song and just to see what we continue to do.
I love that. And a question for you too.
Yeah.
If you had a like key guest that you would die to have on your show, who would it be?
Oh, golly. Seeing multiple people pop up for multiple reasons.
Fair.
But because, like, if you're like, you truly would die, I truly would die if Haley Steinfeld came on here. I think that'd be great.
That would be so cool.
But I think, like, a really cool person, too, would be, like, Barack Obama.
That would be awesome. Michelle Obama, maybe?
Why not both?
Ooh, that could be fun.
Do a fun two-parter.
Yes. And see who is like if their stories line up.
Yeah, I've actually done that before. I've had 2 sets of episodes where I've had husband and wife. One of them, husband and wife were on at the same time for Alec and Bailey. And then the other one was Brad and Leah, and they did back-to-back.
Love that. I'm very excited for season 4 and all your guests. In one word, for your experience, what would you say Life Story has meant to you?
Ooh.
You maybe 3 words. Sorry.
Okay.
I know it's been a lot. Maybe 1 for each season.
Ooh, okay. I like that, Anna. I like that. I think for season 1, it would be enlightening because I was learning so many new things. And season 1 had so many of my super, super close friends in there. So, like, when I think about that, when I'm like, these people are my second family that are on here. They're my high school friends that I've known. They're my mentors, my friends. I really liked season 1 a lot. So memorable for that one. For season 2, I would say... I'm going to go with first words that come to mind. So I'm going to say fascinating because I had a lot of people that I had known for a lot of years that I wasn't as close with. So learning a lot about their lives, that really became me going and being like on Instagram and saying, hey, would you like to be on my show? And them saying, sure. We hadn't talked in years. So it was kind of like me reintroducing myself to this person, them reintroducing themselves to me. And then that's also when a lot of the growth happened of where do I want Life Story to go? And then I would say for season 3, a joy. Like just season 3, truly, I revitalized my love for why I'm doing this. It was fun to bring back a lot of older guests that had been on some past shows. It was fun to really dive deep into some people. And I felt like just have some really real conversations and just reaffirmed why I like to do this. And at that point, Super Film Club had really been going too, so it was kind of nice to do like a Life Story, a Super Film Club, Life Story, Super Film Club, because my brain and how I act in both of them are 2 very different things, and they both give me 2 very different things.
Right. And it keeps you entertained, for sure.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you for entertaining my random question.
Well, I appreciate it. So we had one more special guest that did a cameo for me, so... A lot of you know him probably as Sensei John Kreese on The Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. Him and his family also did a short-run podcast that I really enjoyed called Kicking It with the Coves. So I'm going to go and karate kick it over to Martin Kove to give a final little congratulations to episode 100 of Life Story. So you be warned, if you are not Cobra Kai, probably don't watch the video, and maybe this is a good time for you to take a little break and go hang out over at Miyagi-Do.
Hello, Tyler. This is Martin Kove, a.k.a. John Kreese, and I want to give you a strong congratulations on your 100th episode. I think it's very exciting. You talk to people, you interview them, and your guests tell you about what made them into the people they are today. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, and you were inspired by Kicking It with the Coves, and that was our first podcast, and there's a lot to grow, a lot to grow. Unfortunately, they wanted different kind of guests than we wanted, so we were kind of limited with the amount of volume that we could do and the amount of podcasts we could make. But you're 100. That's just fantastic. But it's expected because you're Cobra Kai, because you understand the concept that mercy is for the weak. Hear it on the streets. Somebody confronts you, they are the enemy, and the enemy deserves no mercy. So remember, you are the way of the fist. So take care of yourself. Move right into your second 100. Congratulations. And understand that Cobra Kai never dies. And probably neither does Tyler or John Kreese. Congratulations.
I mean, how can you beat that? Cobra Kai never dies, and maybe neither does Tyler. I'm like, holy crap, how else do you end a 100th episode podcast but that from Sensei Martin Kove himself?
I think he's completely right. And also, you would be the person to live forever and make continuous friends. So it's great.
You know, there's something about the idea of eternal life that is very interesting.
Well, we won't have to deal with that just yet, thank God.
Not yet. Hopefully not for a very long time. We're still pretty young. We're not even in our 30s yet, Anna.
Exactly. And don't say 30s just yet.
You're right.
Still partying up in my late 20s.
Exactly. Well, as we're still partying into our late 20s, it is now time to bring down the celebration from episode 100, though. Anna, thank you, first off, for being such a great friend to me all of these years. I've so enjoyed getting to know you more, visiting New York, having you on this show. Like, it just isn't anybody that would come on, be a guest host once, but twice. So I just so appreciate our friendship, Anna, and I love you to death.
Oh, thank you. And love you right back, because honestly, it is such an honor to be asked to host, because I'm the only other host.
You are.
And I would love to keep that title. But yeah, our friendship means so much, and it's crazy to think back to 7th grade. We became friends, and now we're in our late 20s. Yeah, life is crazy like that, but friendships really
17 years. Almost 18.
Oh, incredible. So It's been really awesome, and this has been so fun, and I'm really glad to be a part of 100.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to Michael and Helen and Michael Rosenbaum and Martin Kove. You all helped to make this episode so much fun. Very huge shout out to Christopher Poole. Again, you crushed it with the brand new song, Life Story. The world premiere happened today. It's such a great thing. You worked so hard on it, and I really appreciate it. And for all of my guests that were a part of making 100 episodes possible, thank you all so much. You truly mean the world to me. You all are like second family. I can't wait to have some of you all come on for season 4, work our way to episode 200, which can't even believe that came out of my mouth. But just thank you all so much for helping the little podcast that did come to fruition. So with that, thank you all so much. This has been another episode of Life Story. If you enjoyed it, please give a like and subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, I'm Tyler Honig. Make it a great day, and happy 100 episodes.